What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Run It Up podcast here on the Rise Network. I'm your host, Najee Adams. Feels good to say that because I feel like we took our little, you know how like seasons of television have like breaks. You feel me? I feel like we took a break. You know, it was our mid-season finale.
It's a sad break too.
Yeah, so sad break. And now we're back. Today I got my boy Khalil with me. Justice could not join us. But he'll be back. Don't even worry about it. Today, actually, before I say all that, make sure y'all subscribe to the pod. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Twitter at Run It Up Pod. On TikTok, I believe it's at the Run It Up Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at Najee Adams _ Khalil on Twitter at Below44. Justice just changed his Twitter to like J Reed. It's like JAY Reed. It might be a 2 after it.
I think he felt lame with just
I know. I think he felt lame, so he had to change it.
We're in a group message with some other guys. I think they're making fun of him.
So he had to change it. Yeah, make sure you go follow my boy. And subscribe to the pod. Everywhere you listen to podcasts, leave that 5-star rating and review. Before we get into everything, I'm gonna tell y'all what it is we're gonna get into. We're talking about basically the Seahawks and the Titans because those are our two favorite NFL teams. I'm sure Justice would love to chat about the Panthers if he was here, but nope. So we don't have to talk about them, thankfully. We got the Seahawks and Titans. We're going to talk Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, talk about some NFL combine stuff, go over the quarterbacks, just talk all things NFL going on right now, and then dive into a little bit of NBA too. Boom. We are back. So I hope
I got 2 questions. I got a question for you. 1 question for sure. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, please go.
Have you watched Creed 3 yet?
I haven't watched Creed 1 or 2.
What? Why?
I don't know. The first one, I was just kind of like, I could care less about this because it was being billed as like a Rocky thing, and I didn't watch any of the Rocky, so I was like, I don't care. And then Creed 2, I was like, well, I didn't watch Creed 1, so I'm going to watch Creed 2. And so now Creed 3 is here, and I'm like, well, now I got to watch like 4 hours of movies to watch this movie, so it's just not worth it,
It is worth it. No, it's worth it.
No, I don't know if it is.
No, it's a really good franchise. Like by itself, its own extension, it's really good. Like
I heard people love it.
Yeah, Creed 1 I think is the best one out of the 3 so far. And then I think Creed 2 is like probably the 3rd best. And I think the most recent one's like the 2nd best. But the fight scene in this most recent one is the best fight scene I've ever seen in my life. It's beautiful.
I keep seeing people say that because he was like, it was Michael B. Jordan said it was like anime inspired.
Yes.
And like,
which is like, how's that gonna work, right? Oh my, no, no, it works.
He said I saw in the article that like he did all these like different like angles that haven't been seen in like fight movies before.
It works.
It's crazy.
It works.
I can't wait till it's on HBO Max so I could just skip to the end and watch the fight.
I was on the edge of my seat, bro. It was perfect.
No, I want to see, or at least I want to see the fight because I've heard so much good shit about it. So,
and it's Jonathan Majors. He's on a historic run right now.
My guy, he's about to play Dennis Rodman.
It's insane. But like phenomenal acting. He's great. Michael B. Jordan's really good in that movie. You gotta watch it, bro.
What was the other thing you had to ask me?
I was gonna talk to you about The Last of Us. Just
bro, we have to talk about it. That is the greatest. Like I say, shows are good all the time. Like Invincible. Invincible is a great show. One of my favorite shows of 2021. One of my favorite shows of 2021. Severance. Great show on Apple TV. If you've never seen it, absolutely love that show. Greatest show of 2022. The Last of Us is one of my favorite shows of all time. Like that shit is special, bro.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. We were talking about it on Twitter last night, the other day. I don't know what it was, but the writing, the build. Like I was skeptical about it after the first episode. I didn't know what to think. I didn't play the video games, so I also lack a lot of context. But talking with some people, like they think it compares very well. But the writing itself, the actors, like it's a great show, man. Like, I don't know. It's a great show.
No, I played the first one, so like I'm pretty, and like I know bits and pieces of the second one, but like I didn't play the second one, so a lot of the chunks I don't know what happens. But I definitely played the first one, and so I know kind of where the story goes. But that didn't impact my experience at all. Like even though I know what's going to happen, I'm still like, I need to see it play out again. And I know a lot of people were giving Bella Ramsey like shit because they didn't think that she was going to be a good cast. Bella
No.
Ramsey, man, give her her Emmy. I do not care. Give her her Emmy, bro. Give my son Pedro Pascal his Emmy. Both of them, like the connection, the relationship they've been able to build in what 8-hour-long episodes is insane. Like I buy that they like they're a real life father and daughter. Like it's crazy.
Right.
Like it's that's
Yeah. I had a friend that watched the last episode, and she was like, "Yeah, I asked her how it went, and she's like, there's a lot of blood, and I cried at the end, so I didn't know what to think." And we get to the last episode. Try not to spoil it, but you know, there was a lot of blood, all at the last part for the most part, and then they find each other, whatever. And I just like, I start to understand why she was
did you
crying,
cry?
dude. I'm not, yeah, a little bit, but like,
Yeah, I respect it.
But bro, like you felt everything. Like you felt how they felt. It like just popped off the screen. Like that relationship really like showed itself, and it's been like a gradual thing. Like Joel building up, you know, or actually tearing down his walls, I should say, and you know, breaking down those barriers. And it really just like came to fruition in this past episode, like glaring. I don't know.
No, I'm not like a big show crier or like a movie crier. Like the last movie I cried at was Endgame, Avengers Endgame, when Iron Man died. And like that's a 10-year buildup, you know, like that was really 9-year-old Najee crying. You feel me? Because that was 10 years ago. You feel me? And so that was the last movie I cried. The last show I cried at was Stranger Things, the finale. And now even that's 3 years long. Like I didn't cry episode 3 of this, the Bill and Frank episode almost got me.
Almost got you.
That almost got me, bro. That almost got me because when I don't want to spoil it, but like it's a very emotional episode. If you haven't seen it, it's probably my second favorite episode of the series so far. I think my favorite episode is episode 6, when they have the scene in the bedroom, like at Joel and Ellie. I think that's my favorite scene. Because that was one of my favorite scenes from the game. And so I was like, I wonder if it's gonna lose its, you know, like flair when they bring it to live action. And it hit just the same, hit probably even better. and so yeah, the episode 6 is probably my favorite, one of my favorite episodes of television of all time. But if you guys are not watching The Last of Us, you need to watch The Last of Us. So yeah, that was movie and TV corner with Najee and Khalil. But we're gonna dive into sports. So I don't know where you want to start, bro. You want to start with the Titans? Because I don't really got nothing written for the Titans. I haven't been keeping up with y'all off season. So
we can go Seahawks actually first. We can go Seahawks.
Oh, you want to go Seahawks?
Yeah, I want to hear what you guys say. You've been saying it for a while. I want to hear what you guys say right now, especially after the combine.
All right, so
I'm ready.
Listen to me, Khalil. So I think it was well documented if you listen to this podcast that I was fine walking away from Geno Smith. I've said for the longest time that I want us to draft a quarterback. And we obviously fast forward to today. We obviously re-signed Geno Smith to a contract extension. It was reported at 3 years, 105 million, to which I quote tweeted on Twitter and said, this is an absolute monstrosity. This is a disgrace. I'm glad, like, don't get me wrong, separate the person from the deal, right? Like, I'm super hyped for Geno Smith to get his bread. I just wasn't willing to be the team that gave it to him. And so off rip, like, you have to be very careful about how contracts are reported, because their agents reach out to Shefty and Rappaport and tell them, oh yeah, 3-year, $105 million deal to make it look good. The actual details of the deal made me feel significantly better about the deal. The same thing with Danny Dimes. Like, he's not making 4 years, 160 mil. Derek Carr isn't making 4 years, 150 mil. Like, it's all like, that's what the contracts were reported as. And when you look at the details of it, that's not what it is. And so for me, like I said, I felt like we should draft a quarterback. And if anything, this contract, I've never been more confident that we are going to draft a quarterback. So when you look into everything, Geno Smith, we re-signed him to a 3-year, $75 million deal, 40 mil guaranteed, 30 mil in incentives. He's making 28 million this year, 22 million next year, 25 million in year 2025. So the guarantee applies for all of 2023, right? So of the 40 mil guarantee, 28 of that comes in 2023. That means we have to pay him 12 mil guarantee next year. And in 2025, we owe him absolutely nothing. So it's really a 2-year deal because we have an out after year 3. Now, his incentives, 30 million incentives, directly tied to his play. And he gets $2 million each for the follow. I'm about to read it all because I got the details. He gets $2 million each for the following things. So he needs 4,282 passing yards. That is what he got this season. He was one of 8 quarterbacks to reach that mark. He needs 30 touchdowns, which is what he got this season. He was one of 4 quarterbacks to reach that mark. Geno, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow. I mean, come on. One of these things is not like the other. Am I right? He needs a 69.755 completion percentage. He led the league in completion percentage this year, 69.8, which is basically what this is. And then he needs 100.874 passer rating. He had 100.9 this season, basically what this is. One of 4 QBs to reach that mark: Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Tua, and Geno. And then he needs 80% playing time and 10 wins or make the playoffs. We finished 9-8 this season. We made the playoffs. So basically, if he hits all those, he gets 2 mil each, and then 5 mil if he hits all of them. So that's 15 mil in incentives. He has to have the exact same season or greater than he had to reach the max amount of money. Now, listen, if Geno Smith plays like he did last year, then he's well deserving of all 25 mil, of all 15 mil, of all 30 mil in incentives, whatever it is. He deserves it all. If he does all this again, then I will have no qualms. I have no problem with it. And if he doesn't, then he doesn't get it. A beautiful contract. I'm happy with the deal. He'll be making what, 28 mil this year? When you look at the rest of the quarterbacks in the league, right? Aaron Rodgers obviously makes an insane amount of money. He makes 50 mil. But in like the mid-tier quarterbacks, 28 mil. So Ryan Tannehill makes 29.5. I would say Geno played much better than Ryan Tannehill last year. Matt Ryan made 30 mil. Jared Goff makes 33.5. Kirk Cousins makes 35. Derek Carr makes 37.5. Actually, Derek Carr really doesn't make 37.5. Like, his contract is also kind of weird. He makes 28.5 as his signing bonus this year, and then 1.5 fully guaranteed. So he makes 30 mil next season. Daniel Jones makes something around that too. And so when you look at those quarterbacks, Geno Smith played vastly better than everyone that is around his pay grade. So I think we got him at a steal. I'm not mad at that at all. I think, like I said, this sets us up even better to draft a QB in 2023. It's basically a 2-year deal, right? You know, like, we're still trying to compete. Why? If we're at if we believe that we're paying Geno this much to make the playoffs for the next 2 years, we must believe that we're not going to have a high enough draft pick to pick a quarterback in these next 2 years. It's only a 3-year deal. So in 3 years, if Geno continues to play well, we won't have a high pick to draft a quarterback. But you know when we do have a high pick? This year, Khalil. We have a high pick this year. And John Schneider has never been afraid to go for QB prospects he loves. 2017, he loved Pat Mahomes. We obviously didn't get him, but hey, that's a hell of a guy to love. In 2018, which I believe really started the Russell Wilson crack in our relationship with him, he went to Josh Allen's pro day, and there was talk of us trading a prime Russell Wilson to get Josh Allen. Hell, in 2012, we signed Matt Flynn to a 3-year, $26 million deal, drafted Russell Wilson, started Russell Wilson, made the divisional his rookie year, won the Super Bowl his sophomore year, and then we all know how that went his third year. And so, listen, man, if we're at 5, I don't know how we can. All these mocks I see, every single mock I see is like, oh, Seahawks say Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. What is Tyree Wilson is cool. Great little edge. Great edge rusher.
You almost said that. Great little edge. Great little edge.
He's cool. That's fine. But I would rather take an edge at 20, 15 picks later, and take Anthony Richardson. Come on, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He's the perfect guy to sit behind Geno for 2 years. He's gonna have to redshirt his freshman year. He already said that. They asked him about it at the combine. He was like, "Yeah, I'm willing to sit to learn behind the guy that sat and learned for 10 years." It's perfect. Come on, Khalil, talk to me. I done went on my rant. Talk to me.
So you want them to take AR?
I want them to take Anthony Richardson, the Florida Gator.
All right, man. Then what about your team needs? Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
What is besides a quarterback, which you technically don't need, you'll need later.
Yes.
What do you all need right now?
We need a center because Austin Blythe, our center, retired. So we are currently without one. We need D-line bad.
Very bad. A lot.
The defensive line bad.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. We desperately need linebacker play because Jordan Brooks tore his ACL. And even before then, he wasn't great, but he was serviceable. Cody Barton is not good.
He's a free agent.
So we need linebackers. And outside, Jamal Adams he's fine. He's still under contract. He's the highest paid player on our team. Hasn't played in 2 years, but highest paid player on our team. And I think that's really it. I think we need linebacker. I think
Diggs is coming off an injury, right?
Andre Diggs coming off injury, but he was still a Pro Bowler.
You only got one corner. I would say you only got one corner.
We only have one corner. We do only have one corner. But
Ryan
most teams only have one corner. Let's be real here. Most teams only have one corner. Come on now. How many teams is throwing out 2 all pro?
I'm not saying you gotta get an all pro. But, and his cornerback class is deep, but you gotta get another guy out there too.
Hey, Tariq Woolen was a 5th round pick, my boy.
That's true.
Come on.
That's true.
Come on.
So it depends on what the rest of the draft looks like for the Seahawks, but if corner is a need, and it is a need for a lot of the teams, those corners are gonna go, and they're gonna go very quickly too. So you got to prioritize that, what other teams need, what other teams are doing. It depends on the depth. Of course, you need edge. Y'all don't have very much out there. No. So like taking a Tyree, taking a Will Anderson, taking one of those guys is very appealing, right? I would say.
It's appealing, but in the grand scheme of things, is Tyree Wilson winning me a Super Bowl? I don't think so. Is Anthony Richardson winning me a Super Bowl? That's a crazy thing to say. I'm not about to say that. I refuse. But the quarterback position is more vital to winning a Super Bowl, is what I will say.
Do you know Brett Coleman on Twitter?
Of course. He's doing the rebuild series on YouTube, and the Seahawks are next because he's going phenomenal. In order.
I don't think he had a tweet the other day about them not taking a quarterback at 5, or I don't even think in the first round. He had them addressing team needs first. He loves Tyree Wilson, by the way. So taking like a Tyree Wilson.
Everyone loves Tyree Wilson.
He's a freak. Or taking the Will Anderson, and then maybe.
Let me just say, and the only reason I'm willing to not take Anthony Richardson at 5, Grant, he might not even fall till 5, but the only reason I'm not willing to take Anthony Richardson at 5 is if somehow Will Anderson is there. I'll say
really? That. Okay. And then, I think he had this tweet about them taking DTR out of UCLA. I thought he looked really good in the combine. He trained with Jordan Palmer, I believe, and like Anthony Richardson, all those guys for the combine. His throwing looks really good, and I think he's like an under the radar sleeper type of quarterback, a guy who can develop in a year or 2 years, and then you can still fill the rest of your team needs. So how is that? And of course, there still needs to be some evaluation with DTR. Like I still have to do that. Something you can look into. I don't know if you have or not, but like, what do you think about something like that? It's not taking a guy with a really high elite upside and elite traits, but you're still addressing team needs, getting an elite guy at a very much needed position. If you're not going to take, a quarterback, go on the other end, take a guy who's going to sack the quarterback and get you an elite edge who can, get pass rush, but also help defend the run too. I don't know. I'm just throwing out
No. I love it. I wouldn't hate it. I'm gonna be honest. I'll be pretty mad if the Seahawks didn't take. If Anthony Richardson's on the board at 5, and we didn't take him, I would be upset. I'm not gonna lie, because I think if we didn't have pick 20, I would get it. But I feel like we can find edge help at pick 20, like Brian Brisset. will be there. Nolan Smith, all guys that are projected to be around that 20th pick. And I think that they can help us off the edge too. I'm not going to lie. We also have a decent amount of cap space. We could sign guys in free agency. Listen, Khalil, I'm worried about quarterback, man.
All right.
I'm sorry. Geno Smith is 33 years old and he's been a career backup for a decade. I don't, and he had 3/4 of a good season. I'm not sure that I'm willing to give the keys to the franchise to Geno Smith. I'm not.
I typically lean towards the team building aspect of things. But if there's a guy you love and there's a guy that you want to take a risk on, I mean, you have to, even if it's at 5 and even if it's at a shot like Anthony Richardson, who honestly isn't as bad as people said he was, isn't as bad as the box score would present or display. So it really just depends on what.
Listen, man, I believe in the talent. I believe in the athleticism. I believe in the, like, you'll put it together, you know, like I believe that. I'm a firm believer in like BPA, like best player available. You take them, you figure it out later, you know, you develop them.
The foundation's there. I'm looking at some of these notes, just watching film on them, like the movement in the pocket, like it is there. You know, being able to run, create off script, like it is there. He processes, he reads, like he looks like a quarterback there. You know, he has a foundation. He has a lot of stuff to build on. Florida didn't have a lot of great talent on offense. The play calling was sketchy sometimes. A lot of receivers had a lot of drops. You know, there's some, of course, there's stuff he has to work on, being more intentional. I think even being a little bit more robotic with his movement, especially like getting the ball out quick in the short game, getting the ball out for screens. But like he has a foundation and a lot of good things to work on. And of course, you look at someone called him like a low floor, high ceiling type of guy, or a lot of people would say that. But you look at it like a Justin Fields and what he's doing right now. If you can prepare that playbook to, you know, cater to his needs, that floor is going to look a little bit different. Like that low floor per se is going to look a little bit different if you can really cater to his strengths until he can get to that point with the accuracy, getting being consistent, get his feet right, all that stuff too. So he has those inconsistencies, but he has a lot to work with and a great foundation, I think. And the arm's crazy, bro.
The arm is crazy.
The arm is crazy. Like
I think that a lot of people discount how important having, or like how far a rushing quarterback in the league can take you. And like at bare minimum, you know, Anthony Richardson can run the ball. Like you've already seen what Lamar Jackson do, MVP, blah, blah, blah. Daniel Jones got the Giants to the second round, throwing 15 touchdowns all season. Like, come on. Justin Fields single-handedly willed the Bears to be close in games.
Yeah.
By just running. Like it's
if you think a guy is made of the right stuff, so like let's think about the right stuff. So Jalen Hurts is a leader. Like he is a man among men. Like he is made of the right stuff. He's going to say all the right things. He's going to lead the right way, keep guys accountable, keep himself accountable. And he's working all the time. And he's gotten better every single year he's played football. So if you got a guy like that who has things to work on, but still has a foundation and is going to work on those things, and you think Anthony Richardson is that guy, I would probably take him at 5 as well.
Yeah, you would. And yes, we will. But yeah, I really, that's my pick. I want us to take Anthony Richardson at 5. I think John Snyder wants to take Anthony Richardson at 5. And my pick is that the Seahawks take Anthony. Like, I think they are going to take Anthony Richardson at 5 or a quarterback at 5. Let's Stroud or Bryce Falls. And I'm going crazy.
Bryce scares me. I'm not going to lie to you.
I think he scares a lot of people with the size.
It's just that, and that's it, bro. Like people talk about Kyler, and that's not a fair comparison at all because they just aren't the same player. Same size in a sense. Like if you look at just the measurements of like being 5'10" or whatever, so many pounds. What college thicker? They weighed in at the same though at the combine, but Bryson's not going to play at 204, 203. But like Bryce just isn't that same type of quarterback. He doesn't move that type of way. He isn't like a generational or an elite runner using his legs that way. He can use his legs. He can play off schedule, but it's not the same as Kyler Murray. And even then, that just scares me with his size. That scares me so much, you know. Because
do you think he took a hit not throwing at the combine?
No, I don't think so. The throwing is there. The throwing is really good. You just gotta look at the film. Like it's beautiful, man. And plus, with not like a great receiving core at Alabama, I think that makes you. He had to throw more Sunday NFL type of throws, and you can really see that on the film. He created a lot. Like he's fine. He didn't have to throw. I just think it's his size that gets people, and it gets me.
I feel that, but I mean, Khalil, we've been talking a lot about the Seahawks here.
Yes.
Let's talk about your Titans, bro. How you feeling? How's the offseason? Y'all talking about trading Derrick Henry? What are we doing? What's going on?
I don't know what's going on. Being that we have a new guy in office, new GM, I don't know what's gonna happen. Of course, I feel a lot better that he's coming from San Francisco. Like they have a great track record with drafting, with building teams. They are always in the thick of things. Like they always have a great team. They just always haven't gotten the quarterback thing right, you know. But things are good over in San Francisco, so I feel really good about that. He's a good looking black man. I feel good about that. It feels nice to have in Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
You know, but I think he's going in the right direction. We've made some cuts, even some difficult cuts, but we made some cuts like Taylor Lewan, being a long Titan guy. I think that was just necessary. He hasn't played.
He talked about going to the Chiefs.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what he's gonna. He isn't healthy. So like paying him a lot of money or paying him much, I don't think is very smart for a team. Just depends on how you do the contract, of course. But we made cuts. We cut Lewan, cut Rainey Bullock, our kicker, Zach Cunningham, Robert Woods. I think we cut Bud Dupree. I knew that was reported, but I don't know if it's like confirmed or not. But that's huge. And being 23 mil in cap space now is a great place to be at. We got the 11th pick. We got a second round, a third round, a fifth round, sixth and seventh. I think we have some options at the 11th pick. When it goes down to team needs, we need tackle play. We need interior offensive lineman. We need receiver.
I was about to say, you need receiver.
Need receiver. We need cornerback, bro. We've drafted cornerbacks in each of the last few drafts, and they've hit in some type of ways, but they also just haven't been very, very consistent. The last one we drafted in the first round, if I'm not mistaken, was Caleb Farley. Had a lot of injury stuff coming in, and he's coming off an injury right now, so I don't know how that's going to look. So he hasn't been what we needed him to be. Inside linebacker, if we don't bring back David Long, especially edge, Harold Landry's coming off of an ACL injury too, so we didn't generate really any pressure very well last season. And also, if you want to go down to a little bit tight end, and if you want to quarterback, depending on what happens with Tannehill. So I think we have options at 11. A lot of mock drafts will have us picking offensive tackle. I think one of the guys, so Paris Johnson out of Ohio State.
I'm looking at a mock right now. Paris Johnson to the Titans.
Jones out of Georgia. I think there's a guy out of Northwestern or something like that. People have us taking. There is another guy, Anton Harrison, I believe. He might be Alabama, going off of memory here. But, there's options at offensive line. Receiver, I feel like might be a little bit too high for 11. Like I like Jordan Addison. Didn't exactly test as well as you wanted him to, but I like him a lot. And, of course, you look at guys like Zay Flowers. I love Zay Flowers, but even then, cornerback will be a really good one to take as well at 11. Really good value there too. So it really just depends on what that looks like. And I even think trading down is another thing we can look at too, even if you go off of history. So I think there are options. I'm just really nervous. I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not saying I want to cut Ryan Tannehill because I don't know what life looks like after that. There's a lot of smoke about the Titans.
You got Malik Willis.
You got Malik Willis, and that did not look good last season. And, I think there was a tweet the other day. Someone said something about if you are getting a guy past the second round, third, fourth round quarterback, do not bank on him being your guy. I love Malik Willis coming in. Like, I was super excited. It felt like I had a franchise quarterback. I don't know what that looks like right now. And there's a lot of smoke about the Titans trading up to get a quarterback. That's going to take a lot, and we don't have a lot. So I don't know what's going to happen there. So I'm a little nervous. I don't know. And there's a lot of smoke with Henry. We got to resign Jeffrey Simmons. Like, dude, I don't know what we're doing. I'm nervous, Naj.
Would you be happy trading Derrick Henry? Or is that a no-no for you?
Bro, I think it depends on what we're getting back. Like, if you're going to trade a running back like Derrick Henry, you probably need to do it sooner rather than later, or maybe during the season, mid-season. Typically, I'd probably like to do it before the draft, just to get something back and help us build a team right now. But probably you want to stick with him because I don't think the value is going to be where you would want it to be right now. Crazy running back free agency class coming up right now, even though Saquon Barkley just got franchise tagged. But there's also a crazy running back class with this draft sort of say. So it really, I don't think people are going to be pushing in a lot of chips for Derrick Henry right now. Like it's not going to be the same for what Christian McCaffrey got traded for, because that was in season. 49ers needed to make a move. Like I don't think teams are exactly feeling that type of urgency right now.
Yeah, I think CMC and Derrick Henry just also serve very different purposes. Like CMC is a weapon.
Yeah,
He's
they do.
26. Derrick Henry's a brawler. He's 29. Like that 3-year difference, especially at the running back position, is big for teams.
I think there's a difference with the age, but when it comes to Henry, I think the wear and tear is a little bit different for him. He's mostly been healthy all of his career, but he hasn't been a guy starting out the gate, and he also came from Alabama, so it's not like he got a lot of wear and tear there himself too. So it's a little bit different.
Behind DeMarco Murray for like the first 2-3 years.
Yeah, so it's just a little bit different for Henry, and as long as he's coming back from injury, having a full off season to get healthy, like I think he's going to be just as the same as he has been. It's just getting everything else in order, especially that offensive line, because it was poop.
It's been pretty
tragic. And got to get healthy.
Yeah, he got to get healthy. It's pretty tragic for running backs because they all got tagged. Like Saquon got tagged. Josh Jacobs was the league's leading rusher, tagged.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard, tagged. It's like, damn, no team is willing to really commit long-term to these guys, especially when you look at how that's worked out in the past. Like I remember the Rams paid Todd Gurley and that didn't work out too hot. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the Cowboys regret the Zeke thing. I don't know how they feel about Kamara. The Dalvin Cook isn't really looking to take a pay cut, even though the Vikings are trying to negotiate. So I think that a lot of these teams, as running backs get older, they kind of don't want to pay them, especially when you could find a Dameon Pierce. You could find especially in a draft like this.
Yeah.
You could find a Dameon Pierce. You could find a Tyler Algier, like guys like that who you have to spend not much draft capital on to get great production out of. And so, yeah, I think it's really tough for running backs to get paid. So we will see what happens with Derrick Henry. I did want to talk to you about the combine though, because I know you had some notes, my boy. So I feel like we've already gone over Anthony Richardson. Obviously, he was by far the most athletic quarterback in the class. He had one of the
score, right?
Yeah, he was graded the most athletic quarterback in combine history. His ranks, like I'm gonna give you his, like he's 6'4". That's the tallest quarterback in the draft. He's 244 pounds. That's the heaviest quarterback in the draft. He ran a 4.43. That's the fastest quarterback in the draft. His vert was 4.5. That's also the highest of all quarterbacks. And his broad jump was 10. I don't even know how to say it, but it was 10 feet 9 inches. I want to say, I guess. And so that was also first in the draft. And so, yeah, he just had an outrageous combine, even in the throwing section of it, which is really a receiver drill. But even in the throwing section of it, he looked really good. He was airing that shit out. Yeah. He was doing his thing. He had Indy roaring whenever he was throwing it. His deep ball looked good. And yeah, I think I think Anthony Richardson's been far and away covered. I think he rose quite a lot. There's people talking about taking him number 1. Top 3. Yeah. I don't know what's gonna happen, but did you have any other notes on Anthony Richardson, bro?
No, like the guy is a freak. He looks like a linebacker or an edge rusher playing quarterback. I mean, running a 4.4 is insane. Being at that type of size, 6'4", 240, like that's not normal, man.
Fourth fastest 40 in combine QB history. It was only Vic, Reggie McNeil, and RG3.
That's not normal.
That's crazy.
So when you look at the traits, look at the how much of an athlete he is, and then you look at the film, like it won't be hard for a team to fall in love with a guy like that and take him at 5.
Yeah, I fell in love. I fell hard.
Because right before the combine, you were like, I'm not into that. Like I'm not into.
I'm not taking Anthony Richardson.
What? And then you see him, and that's what combines are for in that way. You want to see how a guy moves, how a guy runs, how he looks around other, elite athletes as well. And, he tested, the best of them. So
that was a new experience for me because I've always watched the combine, but I've never watched for quarterbacks because we've had Russell Wilson for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And last year we didn't have a hot pick, so it was like, hey, it is what it is. We had pick 6, but I didn't think any quarterbacks were falling to 6.
Right.
And so this year I watched it knowing that, like, hey, I want a quarterback. So I was looking at, and I've never came into something with such, I came in knowing like I do not like Anthony Richardson as a prospect. And then I watched him throw, I watched him run, I watched him jump. I was like, I started going back watching highlights. I watched the QB school guy, what I can't remember his name, but his
JT.
Yeah, I watched his video on him. I'm like, yo, Anthony Richardson might be QB1 in the draft. I don't know what's going on, but I want him at 5 is all I know. But enough about Anthony Richardson, bro. Did you see anything else out of CJ Stroud, any other guys?
There's a lot of people who thought CJ Stroud was probably the best quarterback there. At least throwing the football. He's just so effortless, man. So if you look at, there's like concerns with CJ Stroud and the full season he put together, not using his legs very much. I think there's a guy on TikTok who was like very low on CJ Stroud because he wasn't like a baller, like he didn't want to he didn't make it seem like he wanted to win or do whatever he took to win. Like if you compare him to Justin Fields, like that dude played with broken ribs in a title game. Like he put it on the line, and CJ Stroud never presented himself as that type of guy. And then you look at the Georgia game, he put it all out on the line there. He had an amazing game. He made some huge throws against a really good defense, a really good SEC defense. And then if you then skip forward to the combine, like he was just the best thrower, and he just makes it look very clean. He's very effortless. He can make all the throws, has amazing touch, but also can drive, has really good arm strength, has made some of the best throws I've seen in college football. So a guy like CJ Stroud, I think, was just huge. Will Levis, looking at him, what you see on film is, I think it's kind of the same thing about what you see at places like the combine or anything that way too. Just kind of like struggles with some of the not easier throws, but I think he struggles with his feet and just being consistent that way. I think he has NFL traits. He has a big arm. He can process. He can read, but he just isn't always consistent. And I think that some of his film can draw back to like the offensive weapons around him, the offensive line, the play caller, but also what he's doing out there too doesn't help himself as well. And then going to JSN out of Ohio State. You talked about him. We talked about him a little bit before this, but for a guy not to run the 40 and it not hurt his draft stock or actually raise his draft stock, I think is pretty incredible. And it speaks a lot to like what he did and what he was able to do. You want to talk a little bit about him?
I think for me, I came in to the combine not really having a wide receiver 1. I was really high on Quentin Johnston until the national championship game. And granted, they were playing against Georgia, but I feel like in the biggest game of your career, to basically be a no-show against what you would consider, NFL level defensive players, kind of really took some stock down for me there. Like if there was any game for you to ball out, it was that game for me. And granted, I think they were just out of their league to begin with. But regardless, you got to win. Like at least at your one-on-one position, you got to win. And he didn't really do that for me. So that kind of knocked him down. Zay Flowers, I've always been pretty high on. I think he had a really good combine too. But JSN for me was always like I really wanted him to play this last season because he put up 1,600. So looking at his 2021 stats, he put up 1,606 yards on a 22.7 target share. And that's playing with Garrett Wilson, who just won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Chris Olave, who was a runner-up for Offensive Rookie of the Year, one of the contenders for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Two of the two best wide receivers from that last year's draft class. He played with them. Both of them have been on record saying Jackson Smith and Jigba is better than both of us. And so, I mean, they were in practice with him every day. They know him inside and out. And so I'm not going to take their word for it because obviously that's their man. So they're trying to raise his draft stock. But just looking at his on-field production, playing with them and being the wide receiver 1, I think that means something. I think he's the most polished. I think he's the smoothest. I think outside of like straight line speed, he's got everything you look for in a wide receiver prospect. He's got size. He like I said, he doesn't have like blazing speed, but like you don't always need that. Like he's gonna get open regardless. Yep. He's shaking people out of his shoes crazy. And yeah, I think JSN for me is my wide receiver 1. I wouldn't be shocked if he went in the top 12. I'm gonna be honest. If teams fall in love with him, and I think going into last year, a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, teams are not gonna pick wide receivers high in the draft." And then Garrett Wilson went top 10, didn't he, or top 15? I think Jahan Dotson went top 15. Like I think like 3 or 4 wide receivers went.
Yeah, it was Drake, Garrett, Williams, Jameson Williams, and Olave.
It all went top 15, right? I'm about to look it up now. Just
and maybe the Hodson was somewhere in there, or Jahan Dotson was somewhere in there.
And so I just feel like, and granted, I think last year's receiver class was really much better than this year's receiver class. But yeah, it went Drake London went 8, Garrett Wilson went 10, Olave went 11, Jameson Williams went 12, Jahan Dotson went 16, and then Treylon Burks went 18. That's what 5 or 6 wide receivers in the top 18 picks. And so I wouldn't be shocked if a team fell in love with JSN and took him top 12. I really, really like Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's going to run his 40 at Ohio State's Pro Day. And so we'll see what happens then. But as for right now, I think he's the most polished guy in this draft.
And I think a lot of people kind of know what to expect with that. Like the numbers, it's probably not going to look that great, but everyone kind of knows, where he fits in, what kind of player he is. And that 40, I don't think is going to really hurt him as much, especially like what he did at the combine. He's going to do some great things at his pro day. He is smooth. He is very fluid. Like I think he's going to be fine. It just really depends on how a team feels about him and how they feel about the rest of this class as far as where they're going to take him and what they need.
How did you look at, I guess we're kind of just talking about receivers now, but did you look at Jalen Hyatt? Because I feel like he was a guy who obviously won the award for the best receiver in the country. His last season, he had I think he put up 5 touchdowns on Bama's head. Took the picture with Peyton Manning and everything for Tennessee with Hendon Hooker. And he kind of disappointed at the combine. I think for him, people wanted to see elite speed, and the knock against him was like route running and being able to not just beat people downfield, but beat people on the easy stuff, on the outside, on the coming in with slants and stuff like that. And so he ran a 4.4, which is obviously elite speed, but like I think people were expecting like 4.35, mid 4.3s out of him. And so like when something is like your strength and you don't exactly match people's expectations, I think that kind of takes a little bit down. I still personally like Jalen Hyatt. I think he'll be pretty good. I don't think he's in that, like, I think my top 5 in no order, like JSN, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, Josh Downs,
really good.
Josh Downs, and I struggle after that because I'm not sold on Jalen Hyatt. I'm not sold on Marvin Mims. I'm not sold on Kayshon Boutte. Yeah, he had another rough. He had a rough combine too. And so yeah, I think it's kind of like a tier of 4, and then it kind of breaks after that. But yeah, did you have any other notes on anybody, bro?
Yeah, I've watched some Hyatt. Like I've watched games of Hyatt. I haven't watched any film of Hyatt, but the 40 is a weird thing. Of course, the 4.4 is really good still. Like that's good. Like it's just
people speed.
People are really spoiled. And of course, there's guys running 4.2, 4.3, all that type of stuff. And the game speed is kind of different as well. But so I have a little bit more to watch with Hyatt. I don't think I'm the biggest fan of him though, compared to some other guys, but I think he's fine. As far as anyone else goes, there were other guys like Nolan Smith who really showed up. Christian Gonzalez, one of the corners, the corner out of Oregon, probably be one of the first 2 corners taken. You got Darnell Washington, showed himself a little bit as a tight end.
That little catch.
Yeah, it was tough, and he moved well to be what is he, 6'5", 6'6", something like that.
He's like 6'6",
265. Like he moves very well for that, and I think there's a really good place in it for him in the league, and probably something like a tight end 2 or something like that. But there's some really good guys, and guys who just didn't test well were Kayshawn, and I don't think Addison tested as well as I thought he would.
Oh, Jordan Addison, he's in my top 5. I completely forgot about him though.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be my top 5 receivers. But yeah, I think the combine's a weird thing because you go into it with these expectations of how these players are going to perform, and like a lot of this matters when it comes to like evaluating talent, but also like you need to see them in game environments. And
Yeah.
I think a lot, and you do see them in that in college, but a lot goes into like from the end of college to when you start OTAs and training camp, like these players work on a lot of what their perceived weaknesses are. And
Mhm.
so I think that's for GM. I do not envy GMs in player evaluation because that's a hard ass job to do, to hit on that. But yeah, the combine is always a weird time, but it's so fun. Like seeing guys just
Yeah, it
run
is fun.
40s. Like, what are we doing?
It's so weird, man. It's weird from like the outside perspective. Like people get up for this, people go watch this. Like, you know, not they don't fill up a stadium, but they like get close to it, and I don't
Like
know. It's a whole event. They cheer
Yeah,
because the guy's throwing deep
yeah,
bombs down the sideline.
it's
Like
crazy.
it's so weird, but you know, it is fun. Draft season is so fun. So I'm really looking forward to, you know, how this is gonna look. And even after the draft, you got fantasy season, fantasy drafts. Looking forward to all that stuff too. So, you know, I got some guys on my radar, but yeah, it's a fun time, man.
So yeah, that was our thoughts on the combine. Obviously, as the NFL draft gets closer, we'll continue to touch on it. But kind of circling back to already established NFL players, probably the biggest story in the NFL. Well, I guess we'll touch on both, but one of the two biggest stories in the NFL right now, Mr. Lamar Jackson. He obviously is without a contract, right? Well, he signed the franchise tag, the non-exclusive franchise tag for the Ravens. He's obviously not looking to play on the tag. He doesn't have his own agent, so he's negotiating with other teams. What do you think of the Lamar situation, bro?
It is a lot of people are talking about collusion, which I don't think is probably true. It's a weird situation. And everyone's going back to the Deshaun Watson contract and what that looked like and how stupid the Browns were to do what they
That's
did.
an absolute
Um,
outlier.
like, and then like so many teams were going after Deshaun. Don't get me wrong, but how many of those teams were going to actually give him a fully guaranteed contract even then too? So that's another, I
Well, the
think, aspect
Falcons
of
were
it.
going to sign him. The
Yeah, they
Falcons
were
had
right.
him.
Yeah, but where
And
they
then
well, but he left for the Browns because of that fully guaranteed
because he
contract.
was
So
like, these guys are idiots. Of course I'm
why,
taking this.
why wouldn't I? So like I think that is an aspect of it. It sucks that it's happening to Lamar because he deserves to get paid. It's also sucks that he's having to negotiate his own contract as well too, because I think that just puts him in a bad spot and it could rub a lot of people the wrong way. And there's no buffer for him. There's no one to help him, you know, mediate that and really manage that situation. So he's going into it the way he is, and hopefully, you know, a contract will come out of this. It's just a really weird situation having to do with other teams. And also, like if you go through the draft pick type of thing, of course he's worth a lot more than that, or he is worth more than that. But it's just tough because you know he signs that offer sheet with that team, and then the Ravens can go ahead and match that. And people have been talking about like if say the Falcons try to actually reach out to Lamar, he signed an offer sheet with them, and then people are talking about like Desmond Ritter, like him being upset about that. Like that's Desmond Ritter, bro. Like
What do we do?
he,
Who cares?
he is gonna be fine. Like he'll get over it. Like he's not like your franchise quarterback. Like he should know who he is. He's not Lamar. But like so he can be up, like you can upgrade from him. So like I don't think like that's a real option in this sense. Like that's not a real thing that should hold the Falcons back. I just think it's everything else and then the contract. But and I think the weirdest part about it is no one's like really even trying to talk to him. That's just
I think that's the weird part. And I think that if I had to place my chips on something, I'd say that he isn't a Raven because I feel like that relationship is just tarnished. Like from the contract negotiation to tagging him, and then they tagged him so that he can go out and it can be proven that nobody's going to give you the money you want. And so all these teams come out, the Falcons, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Dolphins, the Panthers, all say they're not interested.
crazy.
The Falcons, I don't know why you're not interested. You were about to give the bag to Deshaun Watson. No, knowing everything that came with him, you were still going to give him the bag. So that's crazy to not be in on Lamar. What's changed for you? Like what? Desmond Ritter? That's
No
what's
shot.
changed for you? The Raiders, you just lost your quarterback. Like you have literally no quarter. Like at least the Falcons have Desmond Ridder. I guess they can get Jarrett Stidham, but like, what are we really doing? You know, like you have Devontae Adams. You're trying to win. Like you got to be trying to win. There's no point in not. The Commanders, whatever. You want to start Sam Howell? Be my guest. Do whatever you want to do. The Dolphins, I understand. You had Tua. You were damn near undefeated with Tua. So I understand not wanting to guarantee Lamar 180 mil when you got Tua. And then the Panthers, I feel like they can get someone in the draft. So
probably, yeah.
But they also feel like they're a QB away. So
like, why go through that that season of like having to have that quarterback develop when you can already have Lamar Jackson and your team is pretty close to being like a Super Bowl contending team, maybe some spots here and there, but you got to get that quarterback at the end of the day. So why not go after Lamar if it's only going to take 2 first-round draft picks?
I don't know if I had to guess which team he ends up on. I really don't know, but I say the Falcons. Like it just feels right. Like it makes too much sense. Like you were literally going to give Deshaun Watson the bag. Lamar Jackson is better than Deshaun Watson. Like he's an MVP. Like he's made the playoffs almost, I want to say every year of his career. And it's just I don't understand why you wouldn't. And kind of looking at what I looked at what other quarterbacks are making. And I feel like a 4-year, $210 million deal. Lamar said that he wants to make more than $50 million. Now, Joe Burrow is going to get the bag. Patrick Mahomes' deal is nuts. 10 years, $450 million. He won't be a free agent until 2032 is insane. He'll be 37 when he's a free agent. And even then, they only guaranteed him 141 mil out of the 450. And that's Pat Mahomes. And so the Browns are the most idiotic franchise I've ever seen. That is the exception, not the rule. To give Deshaun Watson 230 mil and fully guarantee all 230 mil is insane. Yeah. Like even Josh Allen, I think he has 150 mil guaranteed. Russell Wilson has 165 mil guaranteed. 230 mil guaranteed. It's crazy.
Piss a lot of people off.
It pissed a lot of people off. Probably pissed Lamar off, but I think 4 years, 210 is fair. Like that's 52.5 mil a year. So on an annual, like talking about annual numbers, that would be the highest paid quarterback in the league right now before Joe Burrow gets his, because they're talking about his going to be 55, 60 mil, which I wouldn't blame them because he's nice as fuck. But yeah, I think right now Aaron Rodgers makes the most per year, 50 mil per year, which is why I also don't think he's going to walk away from the game. That's an insane number to walk away from. But yeah, I think 52.5 mil for Lamar is fine. It's a 4-year deal, whether it's with the Ravens or whatever team. You get Lamar for 4 years, you guarantee 170 million of it, and you keep it pushing. I think that's a fair deal for Lamar. I just don't know who's going to sign him, but I can't see him playing on the Ravens next year.
It's just a weird situation, that dynamic, that relationship. So him going back to that, him being fine when he's back at that after what's happened. And of course, we really don't know anything at the end of the day and what's going on, behind doors. But it's just from the outside, it's weird. It seems murky, right?
So it seems super weird. I don't even know what the Ravens would do if you walked. I guess you start your Pro Bowl or Tyler Huntley. I don't know. The second biggest story in the league right now, or maybe the first biggest story in the league, is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to play for the Packers? Is he going to retire? Is he going to be a New York Jet? I want to say that like 10 episodes ago, I said that the Jets should trade for Aaron Rodgers because they're a QB away. And it looks like that might be the wave. So, Khalil, if you had to pick right now, what do you think happens? Do you think he plays for the Packers? Do you think he retires? Do you think he goes to the Jets? What?
I think he goes to the Jets. I don't think he can go back to Green Bay. I think that they want that to be over with. They are very tired of Aaron Rodgers and what he puts them through every single offseason. It hasn't, worked out for them during the regular season. Of course, they were in the playoffs. They falter every year in some type of way. And then, you drafted Jordan Love, you trade up for him for a reason in the first round. And I think they're just ready to start that era. They're tired of Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers needs a new situation. It'd be weird if he went to the New York Jets because of the Brett Favre thing with going to the New York Jets. But I think that's the best situation for him. That roster is it's young, but it's also very, very ready to compete, which is a weird dynamic to it as well. The coaching staff is a little young there, but they brought in Nathaniel Hackett, which is really good for Aaron Rodgers, having that history with him, having that really good rapport with him. So I think New York Jets makes the best sense for Aaron Rodgers to go to. You called it early on. Hopefully it just happens. I think a lot of has to work out for it to happen, but it's very doable. Like, you're going to move mountains to bring in a guy. And selfishly, of course, me being big on Zach Wilson at a certain point, this would be great for Zach Wilson long term, of course, if you still want him. And you drafted him number 2, Naj. I know there's this whole thing with he hasn't looked good at all. I'll tell you that. It's fine. I'll admit it. But there's this whole thing with, like, you guys got to be ready, like very early. You want a guy, your franchise quarterback, to be ready very early on. And of course, I don't think he looked good from the pocket. The confidence was just gone. He lost it there too. But I think bringing in Aaron Rodgers, who is someone he has looked up to for so long, that is very well documented. Like, they've complemented each other. I think bringing in Aaron Rodgers is a way to at least try to save Zach Wilson the best you can, because he's going to respect him. Bring in that vet, he can learn under him, he can study under him, and hopefully at a certain point when Rodgers retires, Zach Wilson can be there to pick up the pieces.
I didn't even think about that aspect of. I already liked it for the Jets. I think if there's any move for them to make, this is the move. Like, if you want to compete next year, I think this is the guy you go get. Derek Carr has already been accounted for. I think Jimmy G doesn't really. Obviously, Jimmy G is better than Zach Wilson, but I think your ceiling is capped with Jimmy G. Granted, Jimmy G got the Niners to a Super Bowl, so maybe he's good enough to get the Jets to the Super Bowl. But if you want the guy for you, I think that's Aaron Rodgers. I also don't think the Packers are going to want too much for him. Like, I don't think it would be that crazy of a deal to get Aaron Rodgers.
I just think it's the money. The money,
I think it's the money, and then I think you've got a built to win, at least offense there. You got good defense too, but you got a built to win. You got Garrett Wilson. We got to revive Elijah Moore. They dropped Braxton Berrios. Corey Davis is in talks to be released too, but it is what it is. Aaron Rodgers has never made 3 wide receivers work anyway. Give him a good 2 and he'll make it. I'm sure Randall Cobb will come along with him, so that'll be your wide receiver 3. There you go. Randall Cobb, Garrett Wilson, and Elijah Moore. You got Breece Hall in the backfield. Granted, hopefully he comes back from injury. I pray he comes back from injury.
Please.
You got Michael Carter back there. I don't know if they want to keep James Robinson or not, but regardless, you've got guys in the backfield. I don't think so either. I don't know why they traded for him, but you got guys in the backfield that can, produce. And yeah, the offensive line is already decent. And
just got to get some guys healthy.
Exactly.
He's got to stay healthy, but Becton needs to come back. Got to get the tackle position right. And they got tight ends. They got good tight ends. Like, it's there.
It's there. It's there for the taking. They won what? How many games they win this year? 7, 8?
I think 8.
I want to say they won 8. They were 7 and 10. They were 7 and 10 this year with Joe Flacco, Zach Wilson, and Mike White.
That's a lot.
Like, what are we doing? You add Aaron Rodgers to that, and I think you're cooking with grease. I think you and Aaron Rodgers, you're gonna have Aaron Rodgers, Tua Tagovailoa, Josh Allen, and Mac Jones in the division. That'll be fun. And yeah, I think that's that's the move. That's the move for the Jets, to be honest. I think that's the only thing they can do to really make this a win offseason for them. The other big name that is in trade talks is DeAndre Hopkins, which I don't know how that's going to work. There's so many teams that apparently are vying for him. The Giants. I think he worked for the Giants pretty well. Daniel Jones threw 15 touchdowns. So I think that would be great. I really want him to go to the Bears. We saw what happened when they gave Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. We saw what happened when they gave Tua, Tyreek Hill. Give my son Justin Fields something to work with that is not Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney. Mecole Hardman is on Twitter, quote, tweeting Justin Fields. He's not the guy. We need somebody that is a elite level wide receiver to come and take over for Justin Fields. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with Hopkins too. Jalen Ramsey might be on the move. This could be a really crazy NFL offseason.
There's no way Ramsey comes back. There's no way.
No way he comes back. So he's gonna be on the move too. They're talking about trading Matt Stafford. I don't know if that's happening, but yeah.
Someone brought up the Vikings for D-Hop. People have brought up the Chiefs for D-Hop. You talked about the Bears. Like there's a lot of
Mahomes,
places
Hopkins, and Kelsey is nuts.
there's a lot of places that could use his talent. So even the Baltimore Ravens, if they brought back Lamar, like
Nah,
they're
Tyler
receiving.
Huntley would make it work for sure. But yeah, that's our thoughts on the whole NFL thing. We're gonna dive into basketball for a little bit. So obviously, Justice is not here, but I don't know when the last time we recorded was, but I think it was after the deadline, right? Like we put out an episode after the deadline.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you did.
We did. Russell Westbrook is no longer a Laker. Thank the sweet Lord up above. And since the deadline, the Lakers are 7-4. One of those losses being to the Bucks on deadline day, where we had half of a team. So really 7-3, because I'm not counting that one. But okay, 7-4 on the official record books. 3-0 with LeBron and D'Lo. 3-1 with just D'Lo. D'Lo should be coming back tomorrow versus the Raptors. He's been dealing with an ankle injury. Mo Bamba's now dealing with an ankle injury. He's out 4 weeks. Since the deadline, they have the best defensive rating in all of basketball. Shouts to Jared Vanderbilt. They have the number 1 opponent effective field goal percentage, the number 1 opponent free throw rate, number 3 opponent second chance points. They have the 12th best point differential. Like they've been a playoff team. I'm sorry. There's no way. I listened to the Bill Simmons pod, and obviously he's a Celtics guy, so he says outrageous shit that makes me angry all the time. Like I will never forget, they were talking about trades that directly led to championships being won in the NBA, and they just refused to bring up Anthony Davis. They refused to bring up the Anthony Davis trade. I'm like, okay, we just won a chip with our first year and after trading for him, but whatever. It didn't directly correlate to a win. And so they were talking about, oh, who do you believe in? Do you believe in the Lakers? And they're like, oh, the Lakers, they're not a good team. It doesn't matter what happened after the deadline. That just shows me you don't watch ball. There's no way you could watch the Lakers over the last 8, 9, 10, 11 games and think this team is not a playoff team. When you, or at least like in contention for playoffs, when like we're better than the Jazz. I think we're better than the Thunder. People are like, oh yeah, Dame's gonna get the Blazers in the playoffs. I think we're better than the Blazers. Granted, they beat us, but I think we're better than the Blazers. I think the Pelicans are a tough one. Also, everyone was like, oh, the Lakers are gonna give the Pelicans Wemby. Well, what up now? Because they're below us in the standings. If the season ended now, we would keep our pick. So I don't know what everyone's talking about, but let's hit the brakes. And yeah, I don't know, bro. Do I think the Lakers are contenders, like real right championship contenders? I want to say yes. I do. I want to say yes, but I'm gonna be realistic here. Let us get in the playoffs, and you're gonna have to block me because I'm gonna be unbearable. But until then, I'm going to say that we're not contenders, but I can guarantee you nobody wants to see us. The Nuggets could win their stupid little 60 games. Jokic could win his 3rd MVP. I promise you they don't want us. They do not want that matchup. The Kings damn sure don't want that matchup. The Grizzlies with Larry Hoover definitely don't want that matchup. I don't even know who the 4 seed is. Oh, the Suns. They're the only team. I put it on Twitter. I put it on Twitter. The Suns fully healthy and the Warriors fully healthy are the only 2 teams in the West that scare me. Outside of that, I'm taking the Lakers in any other first round matchup. Give us the Nuggets, Lakers in 6. Give us the Kings, Lakers in 5. Give us the Grizzlies, Lakers in 6. I don't care what the Kings did. It's the Kings. What are we talking about here? I'm not taking De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, and Domantas Sabonis to beat Anthony Davis and LeBron 4 games out of 7. I'm not doing it. But yeah, that's my little Lakers rant. Khalil, talking. What do you think about the Lakers?
I think if they're healthy, I think they're competing for a championship, quite frankly.
So you think we're contenders?
No, yeah, I honestly do. I think they – so let's go back to the trade deadline. Everyone was so upset. Everyone, including myself, was so upset about not getting Kyrie Irving, correct?
I wasn't mad. Well, was I mad? I can't remember.
You were mad. You were probably mad about not – yeah, you were mad.
I was mad.
But I think all the angers mostly stems from just the thought of keeping Russ. as a Laker. I think it mostly stems for that. But I think what actually happened,
I would have taken anybody.
exactly. I think what ended up happening was probably the best case scenario, even over getting Kyrie Irving. You get more depth, you get a point guard, you get Vanderbilt, who brings energy, he brings defense, versatility. You get to keep Austin Reeves, which you were pissed about when they wouldn't offer him up. But I think
Max Christie, come on.
But Austin Reeves is a great piece on the team. I feel like, man,
he's a player you need on a championship winning team.
I don't think he's just some slouch on defense, even though people want to point him out. I think on offense, he's like sneaky smooth, very silky. He can operate in a pick and roll, use mid range, has a nice little mid range pull up floater. Like he's a good player. Like I like Austin Reeves for the Lakers. You get Malik Beasley, who's been shooting well this season. Like I think they added pieces, the perfect pieces for what the Lakers needed to succeed. What LeBron and AD ultimately needs to succeed.
Talking nice to me right now.
Also, you don't have to put all your chips on Dennis Schroeder to be your point guard for a championship team too. Who has played well. Honestly, he has his moments here and there, but he has played well this season for the Lakers too. So Darvin Ham finally made adjustments with the rotation, so not screwing things up that way. You love Troy Brown. I feel like, do you love Troy Brown? Maybe
I didn't always love Troy Brown, but goddamn, he has taken a turn. My boy does not miss. He tries on defense. He's athletic. I don't know how much gravity teams believe he has, but hey, he be knocking that shit down. That's all that matters. If teams don't want to guard you, that's their problem.
He came to you need to talk to Riv, because Riv was talking mad crap about Troy Brown before the season started. But Troy Brown has come into the season with confidence pretty much all year. Like he is looking for his shot. He's playing defense. Like he's taking it to the basket. Like he's coming with confidence all season, which I don't know where that came from. But good for him. You got Rui also before the trade deadline, which has been huge.
Young Kawhi.
Like,
I'm playing.
I don't know why people keep saying that. I know he operates in the mid range, but people just keep saying that. But he's a really good offensive threat for you guys as well too. So like there are so many pieces on this team. I think I'm forgetting a backup big. Who am I? Mo Bamba,
Wenyen Gabriel.
Yeah. I don't think I'm forgetting anyone else. So I think the Lakers have all the pieces they need to compete. You just got to be healthy at the end of the day. AD is going through his resurrection period that he went through earlier this season. So hopefully that's keeps up, because I think the NBA is better when you have your players healthy, and he is a top 5 player when he's healthy, or at least plays like it. Like you put him in there, but he plays like a top 5 player. So like I just don't see. I think if people aren't saying they're contenders if they're healthy, they're probably just hating and probably just in denial at the end of the day.
Yeah, damn right. Khalil, this is why I love you, bro. Because you say all this stuff, so I don't gotta look like a crazy Lakers fan.
I got you, and I'm sure I'm a LeBron fan, but I don't have LeBron is fine at the end of the day. Like he is who he is. Like he does not need to prove anything else, no matter what anyone says, no matter what he says. So I don't have like a stake in this game. Like I'm not a Lakers fan. I just want to see good basketball, and I think the Lakers are a real threat, especially to a Western Conference that is still vulnerable. You still got teams figuring it out. The Warriors are at the 5th seed, but they are still figuring it out, still trying to get healthy, still trying to get guys back on the floor. KD, unfortunately, just got hurt. John Morant could be facing some type of suspension. We have no idea what's going on right there. That's crazy, bro. Like, what a turn. The Kings are probably one of the worst 2 seeds we'll ever see in the playoffs. I think they're fine. They're fine, but it's not like I just don't think they can make a run like a normal 2 seed would,
And listen, if they prove me wrong, they prove me wrong. But I'm willing. I'm willing to die on that hill.
And they've proved everyone wrong. Like even Kings fans and people who were high on the Kings, no way they thought they're gonna be at the 2 seed. So
you're not lighting that beam 4 times on me. You're not doing it.
They prove everyone wrong. Clippers are gonna be a weird team in the playoffs. I mean, you got Kawhi and Paul George, but
barely play.
I just don't think they're going to put it together. And of course, you're going to rely on Russell Westbrook to some extent too, which we've seen what that looks like.
1-5.
The Mavs can't play defense.
Timberwolves. Did they win last night? Did the Clippers win last night?
Who they play? Do you remember?
I want to say they played the Pacers, but I might be wrong. They played the Raptors and they won by 8. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then you got the Timberwolves, Mavericks. I don't know. Pelicans can't be healthy. not really a threat without Zion. So I don't know, man. The Western Conference is wide open, and if the Lakers are healthy, what are you gonna do?
Western Conference is nuts. Lakers got to make the playoffs. What do you think about? We can move on to the East. What do you think about the Knicks? And what do you think about? I want your opinion on two teams: the Knicks and the Celtics. I think they're on two different trajectories right now. I think the Celtics are a little bit on the downturn. And I think the Knicks were one of the hottest teams in basketball. I think their 9-game win streak got snapped by the Hornets.
Yeah.
And so what do you think about them, bro?
I think the Knicks are a very scary team for the playoffs coming up. You got guys; they have a lot of depth in that team. They got guys who can score. Jalen Brunson, and I don't know. Like, okay, so with the Mavs situation with Jalen Brunson, I think everyone's been saying like the Mavs are they're upset right now, right? Because they didn't pay him the first time when they should have. Should have paid him the first time. That's fair. I don't know if they should have put all. I still don't think they should have put all their you know, chips and whatever it is, all their chips,
chips in a basket.
Yeah, something like that.
All their balls in a basket. I don't
something
know.
like that. Yeah, that sounds right. But I don't think they should have like he's in his values right now is great, but I don't think he's the right fit with a player like Luka, and we've seen that. So like I think the Knicks is that was a perfect situation for him, perfect situation for the Knicks. Like, and I don't think anyone saw this type of play coming out of Jalen Brunson, but being the number one point guard for that team, he's done amazing. Julius Randle, coming back and resurrecting himself as well has been huge. Josh Hart trade was phenomenal and has added so much juice to that team. RJ Barrett is kind of like a wild card type of thing. You don't know what you're going to get from him, but
a little bit of a disappointment, but thankfully the rest of the team is much better than everyone thought.
So. Yeah, and he has his moments even then too, and he can come up with a 30-point game out of nowhere, which is going to be huge for the Knicks, especially if Brunson and Randall aren't going at it. I think it's a team that still has some kinks to figure out in crunch time. I think Julius Randle gets a little bit weird on the offensive end of the ball, just going with some hero ball, some ISO type ball. Of course, he hit that game winner against the Heat, and he's hit so many other big game shots, but I think they have some stuff to figure out there. But it's a team who's playing very well on defense. They have different lineups to throw out there with Mitchell Robinson, Hartenstein, Josh Hart, Quickly, Grimes. Quickly's been huge for him as well, especially with Brunson being out. So it's a very scary team who can match up with a lot of teams. I don't know if they're going to make actually a big title run, of course, but they are going to piss off a lot of teams, and it's not going to be an easy, 4-game series, and even in that sense too. And with the Celtics on that end, I felt this way pretty much all season, even stems back to last season, but it's just a team I don't really trust at the end of the day. Even when it comes to, getting to the playoffs. Of course, Jason Tatum has had an MVP-like type of year, but there's been so much injury history with this team this season. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown's been injured at some points too. Robert Williams cannot play to save his life. I don't think the depth is always there, like we thought it was going to be, with some injuries as well too. Brogdon's been huge, but it's just a team I don't trust. I think they still make key mistakes in big moments. I think there are some nights where they don't bring it, and I don't think they're going to. I think that's going to hurt them in the playoffs at the end of the day.
I think for me, I guess I'll start on the Celtics. I think for me, there's 4 real contenders in the NBA. I'm not gonna count the Lakers. Obviously, do I think we can win a chip? Yes, but like as currently constructed, team by team right now, I think the Suns are contenders. I think there's 5. I think the Suns, the Warriors, the Nuggets, the Celtics, and the Bucks. I think those are my 5. For the Celtics, I think they're going through I think they kind of hit like a wall post All-Star break, but I still think they're one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the NBA because healthy, there's nothing that they can't do. Like they have 2 they have a superstar and a really high level guy, 2 guys that can drop 40 on any given night, MVP candidate, defensive player of the year, another all defensive guy in Robert Williams when healthy, Al Horford. Obviously Marcus Smart, they have shooting, they have size, they can run, they play well in transition, they play defense, like they're a decent rebounding team. There's nothing that I feel like they can't do. They can go small.
They haven't defended very well. They have, especially in comparison to last year. So
but I feel like in just player by player, like they have 5 guys that they can throw out there. Like Grant Williams can play defense, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and then you want to give Al Horford, he does his thing. But I just feel like push come to shove, like that's not an easy out in a play. Like I think
Yeah.
that I think maybe their regular season success is kind of dwindling, but in the playoffs, I don't know if I would take anyone else to make the finals outside of them and the Bucks. Like,
I mean, yeah, but okay, over an 82 game season though, like man, I feel like you create so many bad habits. Like how many nights have they just like turned it on and really defended and locked down people like they did last season? Like I don't think we've seen that, and that could be a coaching thing. Most would probably say it is a big coaching thing, and losing that personality, losing that defensive scheme in there too, and just that intensity and that accountability as well. Like I don't know. Like I just think I think it's hard for a team like that. Like they have experience, but something just feels off. And I don't know if they can just turn it on like that and show us something that we haven't seen consistently since last season and in the playoffs last season, especially. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I think the Eastern Conference Finals goes one way. I think it's Bucks Celtics, no matter which way you split it.
Yeah.
Obviously the Celtics beat the Bucks last year. They didn't have Chris Middleton. I'm curious to see how that goes this year, if everyone is healthy. I think it's tough to bet against Giannis in any series against any team. I think he's the best player on the planet, and so whenever you're going up against a guy like that, I think that it's just tough to bet against them. But for me, I think the Celtics are still a top tier team. I just think they're struggling in the playoffs in the regular season right now. For the
Yeah.
Knicks, I think they're a really, really good team.
It's weird.
I think they're a really, really good team. I don't think they're contenders. I think they are I think their ceiling is the second round. I wouldn't be shocked if they got bounced in the first round, but I think they're a well constructed roster. Like I think they have a lot of guys that work really well together. Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson they're going to give teams problems. I think Julius Randle, when he has those explosive great games, hitting 6 3s, 7 3s, like there's no way to guard him. Like you can't just play him in the post because he'll spin move, back you down, jab. Like he plays, he has a very like unique play style.
Yeah, they were calling it. I think on Bill Simmons, they were calling it like herky jerky type of like ISO game,
Yeah.
which is really true. Like you just can't really guard it. Like it's so unpredictable. It's so weird.
But I think that Josh Hart trade did a lot for them, gave them a guard that can rebound. Obviously, Jalen Brunson is cooking anybody. He's had multiple 40-point games this year, which I don't think a lot of people think he had in him. I didn't think he had multiple 40-point games in him, but clearly I was proven wrong. Yeah, I think the Knicks are a good team. I think they are this is the best Knicks have been since the Melo era, easily. Like this team,
and people didn't think they were that good even then too.
No. Like, this team is gonna cause problems. I don't think teams want to see the Knicks. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they upset a Sixers. I wouldn't be shocked if they upset a Cavs.
What about ECF then? You don't think they can make it there?
I don't. I think it's Celtics Bucks.
Okay.
I don't think that my friend is a Knicks fan. I live in New York, so all my friends are fucking Knicks fans. But he swears they can beat the Celtics. Granted, I think they won the season series versus Celtics.
Yes, yes, they did.
I think they won the season. Hey, we won the season series versus the Warriors. So I mean, but I think but the Magic won the season series versus the Celtics. So like what like I don't really take that into that much account. I think in a 7-game series, the Celtics probably win in 6. But I think they're tightly contested games. I think they are. I just think that the Celtics have been there. The Celtics have done it. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals multiple times now. They've been to the finals once to Knicks. No one on the Knicks. I guess Jalen Brunson went to the Western Conference Finals, but outside of that, no one's really been there before.
For a team to be as experienced as Celtics are, I just feel like they do so many inexperienced type of things sometimes. It just drives me nuts.
Yeah. No, I think they're pretty undisciplined sometimes.
Why?
I think they play down to their level. Like they play down. Like if they think they're better than teams, they play down to their level. Like they like the Magic of the perfect example. Like they should blow the Magic out every game. There's no one like they should not be getting cooked by Franz Wagner and people like that. They just shouldn't be. But they play down to their competition and they end up losing games. And I think when the playoffs start, that shit has to end.
I would love to see a Celtics Knicks playoff series. I think the Knicks match up very well with the Celtics. I'm not saying this.
If they
I'm not saying the Knicks are going to win.
If
I'm
they
not
beat
saying
them,
that.
that would be insane. But I was looking at the West, like so let's say the Lakers get the 8 seed. I did it for FanDuel, so I have it up. I did like my seed predictions. Let's say the Lakers get the 8 seed, the Clippers get the 7 seed, the Mavericks get the 6, Grizzlies 4, Suns 3, Kings 2, Nuggets 1. That would mean the Pelicans, the Blazers, the Timberwolves don't make the playoffs, which is kind of crazy to say, but whatever. The first round matchups would be Nuggets Lakers, which is crazy. I think that's crazy. Kings Clippers. We already saw that's always a battle. They had like the third highest scoring game in NBA history a couple of weeks ago. Always a battle. Suns Mavs. We get Book versus Luka again.
Really nice.
Kyrie versus KD again.
They hate each other.
And then Grizzlies Warriors. Dylan Brooks and Draymond, John Steph. Like, that's a bag. The Western Conference this year is gonna be great. The playoffs, I cannot wait, bro.
That's the perfect first round.
That's the perfect first round. Like, I cannot wait for that. And yeah, I think that's what we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Like, I don't know. It's been a crazy NBA season, and the playoffs are only going to get crazier.
I cannot wait for the playoffs, bro.
So much to look forward to, and we still got 2 weeks.
I think 2 weeks. I think each team has like 17 to 20 games left or something like that.
So there's a lot to be figured out. There's a lot of teams still figuring this stuff out, but there's a lot of parity right now with these records. Yeah, the playoffs are gonna be amazing, man.
One quick question before we go: who's your MVP? Do you remember who I said on our preview pod with Riv?
No, bro, I actually don't. Who did you say?
Do you remember who I said? And I got clowned. I want y'all to. We're gonna go back and watch that motherfucker because I said who was gonna win MVP, and y'all were like, "No way, it's not possible." Nikola Jokic.
You said Jokic?
I said Jokic. I said he's going.
And
back
we clowned you for that?
To back. Yes. Y'all were like, they're not giving it to him 3 times. They're not giving it to him 3 times. Yeah. Well, let's see.
No, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because I don't. Mine was Tatum, and that's not gonna work out.
They might win 60 games. The Nuggets might win 60 games.
It's possible.
It's possible. And Jokic, I think he gets it again. I think he'll never win another one ever. But I think he gets, like, they're not giving it to him 4 back to back to back. But I think they give it to him this year. I think it's him or Embiid. But for me, it's Jokic.
What if he doesn't? What if he doesn't finish with a triple double?
I think you still get it to him.
You think still gets it?
If they win 58 games and they're the 1 seed in the West and the Sixers are the 3 or 4 seed, I don't see how they give it to Embiid.
That stat padding thing is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
No, I mean, they need him to win games. Like,
it's dumb.
They
dumb.
need him to win
Isn't he
games.
like undefeated this season when he's averaging triple double? Aren't they undefeated?
I think so. Yeah, which is nuts,
bro. What?
Which is nuts.
That's just how he plays. Like, this, their offense. They run it through him. Like, he is generating very quality shots for his teammates. Like, I don't know. Like, and they're the number 1 seed. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, the Warriors are playing, and Draymond and Dylan Brooks are already.
Oh Lord, I love it.
Already giving it up. I love that.
Dylan Brooks deserve every bit.
He deserves all of the
said.
smoke. He deserves every bit of the smoke. He said the dynasty doesn't start with you; it starts after you. That's hard.
That's a bar. That's a bar.
I think that's cold.
Yeah, Dylan Brooks is terrible. Like, I thought this was last season. Like,
he's the reason we won the Grizzlies game first.
Like, he is not good, and I don't know why he has like the green light. I don't know what it is. No one holds him accountable. Whatever. He sucks.
He's
as an NBA player on a winning team.
We're gonna go ahead and get him up out of here. I want y'all to remember. If you don't remember anything, remember Dylan Brooks' ass. And so we're gonna get him out here. Make sure you subscribe to the pod on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Leave the 5-star rating and reviews. Follow us on Twitter at Run It Up Pod. Follow us on TikTok at the Run It Up Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at Najee Adams _ Khalil at Belil44. Justice at J Reed or J Reed 2, one of them. It'll be in the description, though. It'll be in the description. And yeah, I hope you guys have a litty day, a litty night. a Liddy life. And just like we do on every episode of this podcast, make sure y'all go run it up.